It's really strange that I'm making this video here. I know the Vegas Golden Knights went out there and they defeated the Nashville Predators last night. Good for them is all I'll say. But there are some other things I also want to bring up as well. The fact that the Vegas Golden Knights are in a position of precariousness. Not just in regards to the Evgeny Dadonov stuff. By the way, he scored yesterday, so fantastic for him. Love to see the guys coming out here with revenge stories on their old teams. And I say old teams like Dadonov actually left the Golden Knights. No, he didn't. He technically was never a part of the Anaheim Ducks, unfortunately. But when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights, they're in a very difficult spot in more ways than one. Yes, they beat Nashville yesterday. But if you go over to everything that started, let's say around February 16th with this team. I'm picking that date because that's the date that Jack Eichel first suited up for this squad. Things have been a little bit more on the down low. What do I mean by this? Well, if you go back to Jack Eichel's very first game as a member of the Vegas Golden Knights against the Colorado Avalanche, which was February 16th, and you go to the NHL standings, let's look at all the NHL teams from February 16th, 2022 to the start of yesterday. So, March 24th, 2022. The Golden Knights, heading into yesterday's showcase against the Predators, in 18 games played, had a record of 6-11-1, with 43 goals for in those games, 58 goals against in those games. Their point percentage was at .361 on the stint. And in fact, if you sort by points percentage negative-wise in the NHL, they were the 5th worst team, tied for the 4th worst team in the league, if you don't include yesterday's win against the Predators. Now, this is just since Jack Eichel made his debut with the team. The Vegas Golden Knights were performing poorer than the Chicago Blackhawks, the New Jersey Devils, the Sabres, the Flyers, and some other bad teams that are over here too. Only Anaheim, Detroit, Seattle, and Ottawa had similar, if not worse, records than Vegas, and that is very concerning. Now, there are some other parts of this team that you could say, okay, this is why they started losing games. There's the whole Robin Lehner thing. He's going to be sidelined for a bit. Max Pacioretty is also not playing. Mark Stone, Martinez. These are some of the best players on the Vegas Golden Knights, and all of them are currently out. You take a look at the Golden Knights who are scoring in this stint of 18 games played since February 16th. Marchessault has the most points on the team with 15 in 17 games. Jack Eichel has 11 points in 18 games. Pietrangelo, 8 points in 18 games. Again, this is not including yesterday's game against the Nashville Predators, where a whole bunch more guys got points. Evgeny Dadonov is on here too. He scored himself his 6th goal in 8 games, and for Evgeny Dadonov, this is kind of the best case scenario for this guy. Because sure, this guy got traded, or he thought he got traded. The Vegas Golden Knights thought they traded him away, but the trade didn't go through. They didn't trade him away because they thought he's a bad player. In fact, he's got 6 goals in 8 games. The Vegas Golden Knights kind of need goal scoring. You watch some of the games they play recently, they're out shooting the opponent, they're getting 40 shots, but they're only scoring 1 or 2. That's not because their shots are getting saved by absolutely Vezina-caliber goaltenders. It's just the team is not able to convert. And so when it comes to goal scoring, Dadonov provides that. And it's ironic because they were trying to get rid of this guy to free up that $5 million cap hit. They also tried to acquire Ryan Kessler because, you know, his $6-point-something million AAV on the LTIR would be very useful once the team reactivates everybody and tries to get their prime roster coming back. The problem is, though, the trade didn't go through, and so now for the Vegas Golden Knights, they're in quite the predicament when it comes to the limited options they have. First, they could go out there and still try to trade away Dadonov, which I think would absolutely screw the guy over. Like, I think you really, really don't want to do that if you're Vegas because, look, ending a guy's season because you messed up with your cap shenanigans and your no-trade clause shenanigans a year ago is just the definition of mismanagement and mishandling your assets right here. I know if you trade away Dadonov, he's technically not your asset anymore, but come on, show the guy a little bit of respect here. Furthermore, if you don't trade away Dadonov, if you don't trade away anybody else, you're all of a sudden stuck once the Mark Stones or the Paciorettys or any of the other guys come back, because you take a look at where the Golden Knights stand in terms of their cap space. Right now, this team has $0 million of cap space left. They've used up $11 million of their LTIR space, and that LTIR space is not going to be around forever once these guys come back and they're no longer hurt. And so now you take a look at where the Vegas Golden Knights are in the standings, because the entire reason they're in this predicament in the first place, where they have so many guys on the team that are making significant money, some are on the LTIR, others are not, is because they wanted to go out there and do the Tampa Bay Kucherov strategy. They want to try out okay, let's get a $9.5 million player on the payroll, or excuse me, not on the payroll, and bring him back in the playoffs when there's no salary cap. The problem with that, and the plan right now, is that the Vegas Golden Knights are not in the playoffs anymore. Go over to the NHL standings and you see where everything lies in the Western Conference. The Nashville Predators, okay, they lost yesterday, so they're at 78 points in 65 games played. Dallas is playing Vancouver a little bit later into the weekend, so that's going to be a super important game. But to see what else happened in the league, Edmonton won their game last night. They've got 77 points in 65 games. Dallas, they've got 75 points in 63 games. They have 4 games in hand over the Vegas Golden Knights, and they're still ahead by a point. Vegas, with their 74 points in 67 games, is good enough to be just outside the wildcard race, but Edmonton has really been heating up, and Dallas has a handful of games in hand. So, in order for this Vegas team to really solidify themselves into the playoffs, they're gonna need to go on a tear. In order for them to just barely squeak in, they need to make sure that Dallas and Edmonton lose those remaining games that they do have. Not to mention the fact that you have Vancouver right behind them with 71 points in 66 games played over here too. Vegas is really packed in there. It's a tight race, and the next few weeks are really going to determine what this team is made of. It's just problematic because you take a look at Vegas and you say, okay, well, they have a good roster. They have good and talented players, but the majority of the top guys are not playing. And the fact is, they're not allowed to play, because if they all were able to play at the same time, the team would be way over the salary cap. It wouldn't even be close. So this team is kind of in a predicament now where you have to make the playoffs. You absolutely have to, or else this entire LTIR strategy, Stone, Pacioretty, Eichel, Lehner, everything would have been kind of a waste of the season. And you have to be able to make the playoffs without these top guys in the lineup in the first place. This Dadonov situation just screwed over the Vegas Golden Knights so hard that I think that if you mathematically try to work everything out, okay, Dadonov goes away $5 million freed, Kessler and his $6 million LTIR money coming onto the books, that's even more money he could spend over the cap. I think it would have just worked by the hairs of their chinny chin chin if that Dadonov trade went through. It's just, it didn't. And there were not too many partners out there for the Vegas Golden Knights when it came to that kind of contract, because Ryan Kessler, his contract expires after this season. Like, he is one of the only guys on the LTIR that actually has a short amount of time left, which is why he was seen as such a valuable option for the Golden Knights. You have Shea Weber and his behemoth contract. That's got 7 years left. You've got a few other guys too. Brent Seabrook is on the payroll in Tampa Bay, but he doesn't expire for a while. It's just Ryan Kessler who's got that one extra year, or this is his last year, which made him seem like a lot more of a desirable option for Vegas. It's just very unfortunate that Anaheim happens to be in California, and therefore you see Dadonov not wanting to go to California. So, when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights, are they in the playoff race? Yes. Are they in the playoffs technically right now? No, they are not. Were they built to be in the playoffs right now? Yeah. Were they in the playoffs like a few months ago? Yeah. What happened with this team in order to get them to start losing all these games? You could label consistency, you can label goal scoring, you can label Vezina caliber goaltending on the opposite side, but I'm going to chalk it down to one thing, and you're not going to believe what it is. Jack Eichel, he made his debut, and then they started losing. Winning percentages down there in the toilet like Detroit and Ottawa and everybody else. It's the Jack Eichel curse, ladies and gentlemen. That first-round pick that the Vegas Golden Knights sent over to the Buffalo Sabres in the Eichel trade, it's only top 10 protected, and the Vegas Golden Knights are realistically not going to finish so bad in the standings that they're going to be a top 10 lottery team. So I've been seeing a lot of Sabres fans on my timeline especially just kind of salivating like the hyenas in Madagascar when they look at the other animals. Every time Vegas loses a game, they're just licking their fingertips like, oh boy, there's that draft pick, eh? There's that draft pick coming in here. Let's get it down to 15th, 14th, 13th overall, baby. Let me know in the comments your thoughts about the Vegas Golden Knights and what has been going on with their team over the past few days. All the losses, the lack of consistent goal scoring, the goaltending, which honestly has been not terrible. I don't want to go out there and say Laurent Brossoit is the reason they're losing, but he certainly is no Robin Lehner. It's injuries coming at the wrong time, it's financials not aligning the way they should, and this ultimate cocktail of attributes has combined so far into the Vegas Golden Knights dripping out of the playoff race little by little. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this. Trolls 99, and bye.